Ladies and gentlemen, let's not overcomplicate this. Business doesn't have to be confusing, but it does have to be intentional. The moment you step into the role of entrepreneur, leader, or decision maker, the rules shift. You are no longer rewarded just for trying. You are rewarded for clarity, precision, and execution. And if you're still waiting for permission to succeed, I'm here to tell you, you don't need it. What you need are basics that work. That's what we're talking about today. First things first, clarity of vision. If you don't know exactly what success looks like in your business, how will you know when you've reached it? You'd be amazed how many people go years working tirelessly in a company without ever defining what the win actually is. Your job as the leader is to paint the picture of where the team is going and how you're going to get there. That clarity becomes your compass. Without it, you drift. With it, you dominate. Second, manage your time like it's capital, because it is. I have never met a successful business owner who doesn't obsess over their calendar. You don't need more time, you need better focus. What do your mornings look like? Are you scrolling social media before your coffee, or are you reviewing metrics? Are you wasting hours in meetings without outcomes, or are you tackling the 3 priorities that will move the needle? Every minute should be directed toward progress, and if it's not, reassign it. Next, let's talk about your team. Hire for culture, train for skill. This one principle has saved more businesses than you can imagine. When you prioritize people who align with your mission, you create a culture that is impossible to copy. Skills can be taught. Passion, values, drive. Those are things people either bring or they don't. So before you hire someone, ask yourself, would I fight to keep this person in a storm? Because if they're not right-ordered, for your company values, you're building on sand. Now here's one you might not love. Track everything. I mean everything. Numbers don't lie, emotions do. Your gut can inspire ideas, but your data confirms whether it's working. Revenue, profit, employee productivity, customer satisfaction. If you can't measure it, you can't manage it. And if you're not managing it, it will manage you. Business doesn't respond to good intentions. It responds to metrics, accountability, and results. And finally, consistency wins every single time. You don't need a miracle product or some breakthrough ad campaign. What you need is the discipline to show up every day and do the boring, foundational things that others aren't willing to do. The meetings, the follow-ups, the feedback, the course corrections. That's what creates excellence, not once, not in a month, over time. Success is the result of consistent action, not occasional intensity. So if you're someone who feels overwhelmed, if business feels too big or confusing or chaotic, start here. Define your vision, master your time, build a team that believes in what you're doing, track the numbers like your future depends on it, because it does, and stay consistent no matter how slow it feels. Because momentum isn't magical, it's built by basics done well over and over again. You want a business that lasts, one that scales, that creates real impact, real freedom, real legacy, then respect the basics. They will never fail you. Clarity of vision and goals is the foundation of every successful business, yet it's one of the most commonly overlooked essentials. When you start a business or step into a leadership role, one of the most powerful things you can do is get specific about where you're going. It's not enough to say you want to grow or make more money. You need to define exactly what success looks like for you and your team. Do you want to reach a certain revenue by the end of the year? Do you want to expand to 5 new locations? Do you want to grow your team from 10 people to 50? You can't just say, I want more, and expect clarity to come later. You have to write it down, speak it out loud, and communicate it constantly. A clear vision acts as your internal compass. It allows you to say no to things that don't align with your mission and stay focused on the things that do. Without a vision, everything feels urgent, every opportunity seems attractive, and burnout becomes inevitable because you're running hard in every direction. But when your goals are defined, you begin to operate with intention. Every decision you make, who you hire, how you price, what projects you say yes to, is shaped by your destination. This clarity doesn't just help you, it galvanizes your team, People want to know what they're working toward. Employees are not inspired by vague goals, they are inspired by purpose. When you give your team a vision they can believe in and goals they can rally around, they go from being task doers to mission carriers. And this is when momentum starts to build. Everyone begins to move in the same direction with energy and intention. Your company culture strengthens, productivity increases, communication improves, and the reason is simple. People perform better when they know what winning looks like. It's not just about the vision itself, it's about your discipline to communicate it. You have to talk about your vision all the time, in your meetings, in your one-on-ones, in your reviews. You have to remind people where you're going and celebrate progress toward that vision. Goals should be broken down into clear, trackable metrics. If your goal is to reach $2M in annual revenue, break that down into quarterly and monthly targets. Then build action steps that align directly with those goals. That way, you don't just have a vision, you have a plan, and remember, your vision can evolve. As you grow, as your market changes, as your life goals shift, your business goals might shift too. That's okay. But you must always have one. Running a business without a clear goal is like building a house with no blueprint. You might get some walls up, but it will never be strong and it will never last, so take the time to define your vision. Commit to your goals, speak them with confidence, because clarity isn't just motivational, it's strategic. It's how real leaders build real businesses that actually win. Consistency and discipline are what separate wishful thinkers from actual business builders. You can have the best ideas in the world, but without the daily discipline to execute, those ideas mean nothing. Success in business doesn't come from one big move. It comes from showing up day after day, doing the work even when it's boring, repetitive, or uncomfortable. Consistency is what builds trust with your customers, your team, and even yourself. When people know what to expect from you, when they see that you follow through, they begin to rely on you, and that reliability becomes the foundation of your reputation. Discipline isn't about perfection. It's about doing the right thing even when it's inconvenient. It's about making a plan and sticking to it when distractions arise. In business, distractions are constant. New opportunities, new tools, new strategies are thrown at you every day, but if you chase everything, you build nothing. Discipline allows you to say no to what doesn't align with your goals. It keeps you rooted in your strategy instead of getting swept up in emotion or shiny trends. Consistency means that even when you don't feel like it, you show up and give your best. Even when the results are slow, you keep going. Your clients, customers, and team are all watching you. They're not just looking at what you say, they're watching what you do every single day. If you tell your team to be on time, but you're always late, that inconsistency erodes your leadership. If you promise your customers a certain experience but don't deliver it reliably, they stop trusting your brand. And once trust is lost, it's nearly impossible to win it back. But when you are consistent, when your brand, your work ethic, and your leadership all align, people begin to follow you, they believe in you. And that belief becomes the fuel behind your growth. It's also about self-respect. When you commit to being consistent in your habits, your schedule, and your standards, you begin to build confidence. You start to trust yourself every time you do what you said you would do, even in small things. You reinforce your ability to lead, and in business, confidence is currency. It affects how you sell, how you lead, how you make decisions. Confidence comes from keeping promises to yourself and others over and over again, not from motivational speeches or one-time wins. Most people overestimate what they can do in a week and underestimate what they can do in a year of disciplined, focused action. If you're willing to be consistent and stay disciplined through the hard seasons, the slow progress, and the silent work, you'll look up one day and realize you've built something extraordinary, not because you got lucky, but because you kept showing up. That's what real entrepreneurs do. They execute even when no one is watching, because they know consistency isn't just a habit, it's a strategy. The power of communication in business cannot be overstated. It's the thread that connects leadership to execution, vision to reality, and people to purpose. If you want to build a strong business, you must become a master communicator. That doesn't just mean being a good speaker, it means being intentional with your words, clear in your direction, and consistent in your messaging. Too often, leaders assume that their team understands the plan simply because they've said it once. But clarity doesn't come from saying something once. It comes from repetition, alignment, and active listening. Communication isn't just about delivering information, it's about connection. If your team doesn't feel connected to what you're saying, they won't be inspired to act. If your customers don't feel connected to your message, they won't buy from you. The best leaders communicate with empathy. They understand that different people receive information in different ways. Some need direct instructions, others need encouragement, some want data, others want the big picture. As a leader, it's your responsibility to adjust your communication style to fit your team, not the other way around. Because when you meet people where they are, they're more likely to follow you where you're going. You also need to create space for feedback. Communication is not a one-way street, it's a dialogue. You don't grow a team by dictating. You grow a team by listening, asking questions, and showing people that their voices matter. When people feel heard, they feel valued, and when they feel valued, they become more committed. Encourage your team to speak up when things aren't working. Encourage them to share ideas, but more importantly, act on the feedback they give. When people see that their voice leads to action, they speak with more confidence, and the quality of communication across the board improves. Consistency is another pillar of powerful communication. Your message should align with your values, your strategy, and your behavior. If you talk about excellence but tolerate mediocrity, your message loses weight. If you preach transparency but keep your team in the dark, you create mistrust. Consistency builds credibility, and credibility is what allows your words to carry influence. Whether you're leading a team of 5 or 500, your voice has to match your actions. And finally, great communicators don't just talk. They inspire. They paint pictures with their words. They don't just say, "We need to hit the goal." They say, "Here's what it will mean for all of us when we do." They make people feel something. And that emotional connection is what drives action. Communication isn't just about clarity, it's about influence. If you want to lead a successful business, you have to learn how to make your words matter. Because people don't just follow goals, they follow voices, and your voice, when used with purpose, can be the most powerful tool in your business. A business without a plan is like a ship without a compass. It might be moving, but it has no direction. Planning is the heartbeat of a sustainable and successful business. It's not just about writing a strategy document and filing it away. It's about creating a roadmap that guides daily decisions, long-term investments, and the way you lead your team through growth and challenges. If you want to build a business that lasts, you need to make planning a non-negotiable part of your process. Many entrepreneurs operate out of reaction instead of intention. They wait for problems to arise and then scramble to fix them. But successful business minds are proactive, not reactive. They forecast, they anticipate, they ask the hard questions ahead of time. Where are we going? What obstacles are likely to show up? What resources do we need in place? These aren't questions you ask when it's too late. They are questions that shape the way you build every piece of your business, from your hiring process to your customer journey. Planning also gives you the ability to measure your success. When you have a clear vision and steps outlined, you know exactly where you're falling short and where you're winning. That's power, because when you can track progress, you can adjust, you can pivot without panic. You can stay grounded in your mission while still being flexible in your methods. The business world moves fast and trends shift constantly. But when you're anchored in a strong plan, you don't have to chase every new opportunity or fear every downturn. You have clarity, and clarity gives you confidence. Another reason planning matters is because it aligns your team. Your employees are not mind readers. If you don't give them a clear direction, they'll start making assumptions. That leads to confusion, duplication of efforts, and wasted time. But when everyone on your team understands the plan, knows their role, and sees how their work contributes to the bigger picture, you create momentum. You create unity. People don't want to just work. They want to work with purpose. A well-communicated plan gives them that purpose. The best business minds revisit their plans regularly. They don't wait for the annual review or the crisis moment. They check in weekly, monthly, quarterly. They ask, are we still on track? What needs to shift? What have we learned since we started? Planning is a living process. It evolves with your business, and when done well, it becomes the foundation for growth, innovation, and resilience. You don't need a perfect plan to succeed, but you do need a plan that reflects your vision, your values, and your goals. Make it clear, make it practical, and make it something you use daily, because a business that plans is a business that leads. And leadership is what separates those who survive from those who scale. Growth is not accidental. It's intentional, consistent, and strategic. Too often, entrepreneurs believe that if they simply work hard enough, their business will grow on its own. But the truth is, hard work without direction leads to burnout, not growth. Growth requires systems. It requires clarity on what to scale, when to scale, and how to scale. It begins with knowing your business inside and out, what works, what doesn't, where your strengths lie, and what needs to be eliminated. Without that level of insight, growth becomes a guessing game, and no successful business is built on guesswork. Growth also demands that you think beyond the day-to-day. You can't just be stuck in the weeds managing every task and every detail. You have to rise above the operations and see the bigger picture. Ask yourself, what's next? Where are we headed in the next 6 months, the next 2 years? The most successful business leaders are always forecasting. They are anticipating opportunities and preparing for obstacles before they arrive. They have a vision that guides their decisions, their team, and their energy. One of the most overlooked elements of growth is delegation. You cannot grow if you insist on doing everything yourself. That's not leadership, it's limitation. Growth-minded leaders build strong teams and empower them with responsibility and ownership. They train, they trust, and they get out of the way. That kind of leadership multiplies your impact because now the business isn't dependent on your every move. It becomes scalable, it becomes sustainable, and most importantly, it becomes free from the bottleneck of one person. Another critical driver of growth is your willingness to invest. You can't expect growth while refusing to invest in marketing, technology, or talent. Holding on to every dollar will not make you rich, it will keep you stuck. Growth-minded entrepreneurs know that smart investment today produces exponential results tomorrow. Whether it's improving your systems, hiring better talent, or expanding your reach, growth comes at a cost. But it's an investment with a return, if you're strategic and intentional about where that money goes. Finally, growth requires you to change. A business cannot grow beyond the mindset of its leader. If you're stuck in old beliefs, fearful of failure, or unwilling to learn, you will cap your potential. The you who started the business is not the same you who will scale it to the next level. Growth demands that you evolve, that you let go of what no longer serves you, that you stretch your capacity, that you embrace discomfort and uncertainty as part of the journey, because only when you grow can your business grow too. That is the mindset that creates expansion, transformation, and long-term success.